Alright, hello everyone. In this video, we are going to um, hands-on with CloudFront signed URLs. So to begin, in our Cloud Native 2024, we are going to create a folder here called CloudFront. Okay, CloudFront. And let's see here, CloudFront. We have CloudFront already, so we're going to put readme here, readme.md, then CloudFront. Alright, so let's begin. CloudFront. So let's read what is CloudFront. Uh, Before that, we are going to log in. Alrighty, we are now logged in. Next is we're going to CloudFront. So CloudFront. And we are going to read what is CloudFront. So let's use, just use Google. CloudFront, AWS. So this is CloudFront, securely deliver content with low latency and high transfer speeds. Reduce latency by delivering data through 600 plus globally dispersed points of presence with automated network mapping and intelligent routing. Improve security with traffic encryption and access controls, and use AWS Shield standard to defend against DDoS attacks at no additional charge. Wow. Okay, so cut costs with consolidated requests, customizable pricing options, and zero fees for data transfer out from AWS origins. Customize the code you run at the AWS Content Delivery Network Edge using serverless compute features to balance cost, performance, and security. So end user. So it's behind the. Also, it's protected by AWS Shield and AWS. This is firewall, right? What is WAF? AWS. What's a firewall? WAF. Web application firewall. Yeah, it's a web application firewall. CloudFront functions, CloudFront functions. Nearest edge location, nearest edge location. Okay, so use cases, deliver fast, secure websites, accelerated dynamic content delivery. All right, so um, why is that? Why is it like that? I don't have access. Failed to load as not authorized. CloudFront. Okay, so we are going to give our user a CloudFront access. So let's put it in a group for CloudFront. Right, CloudFront. Okay, so let's refresh this. I should have a CloudFront. Okay, so I'm able to see CloudFront resources now. Okay, so next is we are going to create an S3 bucket. Alright, so let's go to our S3 bucket. So we should have a CloudFormation here that is for S3, right? So this one, what is this? Is it going to be Upload assets. Where is this asset? So this is 2023. Yeah. All right. So let's just create the S3 bucket here directly. Right. Create the bucket. General purpose JX 2024 S3 bucket. Right. And then yeah, this is non-buck all public access. So this is by default it is encrypted using what's the encryption of this again? Properties encryption. So it's using the default SS server-side encryption S3. All right, and then let us upload, add file, music. Do we have anything here? Okay, so let's download from Unsplash. Alright, so Unsplash. So download this Unsplash thing. Oops. Download. So we want to use that in our downloads. This thing. Alright, now upload. upload. Alright, so we now have this, and this will, if I'm going to access this from outside, this will be forbidden. Yeah, access denied, because it's not allowed for public viewing. And now let's see if we can use CloudFront to distribute that. Create a distribution. Origin, yeah, this one here. We just created this. Path is enter the original path, the origin path. Enter a URL path to append to the origin domain name for. Okay, so let's see. This one here, right? So this is the origin. This is the origin domain. So for example, let's go back to CloudFront. This is the origin domain, and this is the resource or the bucket that we want to share. So it looks like this is the origin. This is one. Can we just use this one here? Let's try. So like that. Enter a URL path to append to the origin domain name for origin request. I think it's just like that. I think it's fine. Public origin access control. Yeah, origin access control. This is when the the users cannot access this via S3. They can just access this via CloudFront. So bucket can restrict access to only CloudFront. Yeah. And origin access control. Select an existing origin access control. So create an origin access control. Description. This is a test origin access control. Okay, we're going to add it here in our notes. Origin access control. Origin access control, and sign in request recommended. Do not sign request. Okay, this one here, this is the one we want. Do not override authorization header. Do not sign if incoming request has authorization header. What is this for? Do not sign if incoming request has authorization header. Okay, so let's create this. Okay, so origin access control. We have this origin access control. You must update the S3 bucket. CloudFront will provide you with the policy statement after creating the distribution. Okay. Okay, so HTTP over HTTPS viewer protocol policy. Okay, so cache default cache behavior, compress objects automatically. Yes. Viewer protocol policy, HTTP and HTTPS. Yeah. Okay. So let's use HTTP and HTTPS. Allowed. So it's only get head options, and get head options put post patch and delete. Restrict viewer access. No cache key and origin request. What's this? Cache policy and origin request policy recommended. Okay. Cache key and origin request. Viewer function associations, optional. Firewall, no firewall for now. Settings. Use all edge locations best performance. Um, choose the price class associated with the maximum price that you want to pay. Best performance. HTTP custom SSL certificate. No. HTTP2. Okay, so create distribution. Do not enable security protections. So let's create this. The bucket policy needs to be updated. Copy the bucket policy and then put that in our bucket. Permissions, bucket policy. So this is now the bucket policy. This is given to us. Oops, unexpected network. What's that? Did we lost connection? Ping google.com. It was the error. Unexpected network failure. Right, save. So we will study this later. CloudFront S3 bucket policy. Alright. So this bucket policy allow CloudFront service principal, allow the service CloudFront to action is to get the object from this resource if the um, string equals. So if the source ARN is this ARN here, our CloudFront distribution. So if the requesting resource, if the requesting principal is this resource, the distribution resource that we created, it will allow to access um, the objects in our bucket. Okay, so that's it. Let's refresh. Let's refresh this. Okay, so let's start viewing this. Oh no, that is the ARN. What is? Oh, it's still deploying. Well, this give us a CloudFront URL. Oh, so this is global. Oh man, hopefully we're not gonna incur a lot of money here. Security. Core protections disabled, geographic restrictions, origin, behaviors, validation, still deploying. CloudFront should give us a, oops, should give us a domain. Right, well, CloudFront give us a domain, a DNS after creation of a distribution. Amazon CloudFront does not provide a DNS service directly. When you create a CloudFront distribution, you specify the domain name or subdomain that you want to use with your distribution. After creating the distribution, you'll receive a CloudFront domain name. Okay, yeah, so it will give us a CloudFront domain name. So this is not a DNS, this is a domain name. You can use to access your content via CloudFront. However, CloudFront doesn't provide DNS services for resolving this domain name to an IP address. You would typically use a DNS service such as Amazon Route 53 or any other DNS provider of your choice to create a DNS record, a CNAME record that points to your CloudFront distribution's domain name. This DNS record allows users to access your content via a user-friendly domain name cdn.example.com, which then resolves the CloudFront domain name. Alright, so it's already deployed. Alright. So where is how do we access? Security. Origin domain. Okay. Origin. So is this the one we are going to use, right? CloudFront.net. So let's go to, right, so let's go to .cloudfront.net. How do we access it? This is this one, the distribution. Okay, so if you click here, so this is the distribution domain. So if you click this, if you load that, and then can we use it? Can we use this like this? Oh, so it's CloudFront, and we can't access it through here through the S3 bucket, but we can access it via this one here, via CloudFront. All right. And then now, how do we implement signed URLs here? I thought that we already implemented it. Origin, behavior, and validation, error page, origin, geographic restriction. So Okay, if we allow only some point or block list, so we have block list and what allow list and no restriction here. So we have we'll set the no restriction for now. How do we implement assigned URLs then? How how to implement or enable signed URLs in CloudFront. To implement signed URLs in Amazon CloudFront, you can use CloudFront signed URLs or CloudFront signed cookies. This mechanism allows you to control access to your content by requiring clients to provide a valid signature which when requesting content from the CloudFront distribution. So to implement, create a key pair, generate a key pair in private and public. Okay. Then configure CloudFront distribution, enable restrict viewer access in CloudFront distribution setting. So where is this? Restrict viewer access. Enable security. Gain visibility into top security trends. Manage security protection. Enable security. Uh, no. Hey, how do we do that? Create a CloudFront key pair. Upload the public key to CloudFront using the AWS Management Console. Generate signed URLs. Use your key. Okay, so CloudFront signed URL tutorial using signed URLs. Okay, choosing between canned and custom policy for signed URLs. All right, choosing between canned, how signed URL works. Choosing how long signed URLs are valid. When does CloudFront check the expiration date? Example code and third-party tools. Create a URL signature using creating a signed URL using a canned policy. All right, so creating a URL signature using this one. So it's more complicated than I thought. Thought that we are just gonna simply enable signed URLs. Uh, Policies, functions, public keys. So we have public keys here. Create a public key. Key groups, key management, viewers, usage, alarm, distributions. This one. Oh man. How do we do that? Okay, using CloudFront signed URLs to serve private S3 content. So we are already using serving private content, but how do we use the signed URLs? Okay, so AWS S3 is a reliable service for storing and serving content. You can even serve private S3 content with pre-signed URLs, so we already know this. However, S3 content is served from a single geographic location. For users not close to the S3 bucket region, this can mean hundreds of milliseconds in latency per request. This is where a content delivery network, or CDN, like AWS CloudFront comes in. Configuring CloudFront to serve public content from an S3 bucket is pretty straightforward. If you want to serve private content through CloudFront setup, uh, if you want to serve private content through CloudFront, setup is more complicated. Below are the steps needed for CloudFront to serve private S3 content through signed CloudFront URLs. So okay, so create a bucket, create a distribution, create a CloudFront key pair. So this is what we haven't done yet. Generate signed URLs. Okay, so CloudFront key pair. So we have this done already. Create a distribution. We have done this already. Okay, so create a CloudFront key pair. S3 URLs can be signed by an IAM user using a standard AWS API key and secret. Unfortunately, to sign CloudFront URLs, you have to use a CloudFront key pair to make this even more challenging. Okay, so this is what we want. Now that everything is set up, you can finally sign CloudFront URLs. AWS has code example for blah 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 blah. Then you can use the outdated AWS CloudFront sign npm module blah blah blah. Okay, so you're going to create a signed URL through an app. So for example here, this is the ID and the private key. Then it's going to sign. The signer is going to create the signer, and then signed URL. So a signer is going to then create a signed URL based on this. Um, okay, so for in our example, so this one here, we're going to give this to, we're going to create an application to create a signed URL by making this as an input, and it will give us the signed URL version of it. All right. Okay. So yeah. So okay. Now that we know how that works. Now we have a picture. So if we go to draw.io, create new diagram, blank diagram, authorize. Oops. What? Cancel. And we create a draw without using any account. Okay, so this one here. So what we did is we created a S3 bucket. Then we have so we have an S3 bucket, and then we created a CloudFront distribution, and then this CloudFront distribution is going to get objects from our S3 bucket and our user, this user here. This user is going to, oops, is going to access via CloudFront and not via S3 bucket because it's not allowed. Oops. How do we draw here and not allowed? So the user here is not allowed to go to S3 bucket. So now we want to even, how do we protect it? So if we want to restrict access to this, yeah, so that is the like question now. Like maybe there's also a what do we call that one here? An origin access control, something like an origin access control, so that they cannot access via this CloudFront distribution. this CloudFront URL, and the user will just go here in the app that we're going to create. So this could be like a .NET app to create a signed URL, so that when the user goes to this app, it's then going to um, give back the user the signed URL, the signed URL. Give back to the user the signed URL. This one here, back signed URL, and this is basing on his knowledge on what the URL looks like here. So the user should not know what is the resource that it's trying to access. And this is for to stop the some kind of crawler to crawl your application for images, because if it's a signed URL, they're not able to load the images if it's not signed. But I'm not sure how to restrict the viewer here so that they cannot access the CloudFront URL yeah if it's not a signed URL. So yeah, that's the gist of it. And yeah, so we're missing with one thing: how to restrict the viewing of the URL so that it can only be accessed through signed URL. So maybe they're here, the public key. So let's see here, and let's read it in step 3. Okay, so sign URL, sign blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, to sign URL, blah blah blah. Once you log into your root, go to create a dialog, download and save the generated private key file and public key file. Close the dialog and save the access key of the key pair you just created. You'll need the access key and the contents of the private key to create a signed CloudFront URL. All right, so I think that's it. I'm gonna sleep now. All right, cool. Thanks. Bye.